currently, we do have some decentralized storage solutions like IPFS and Storage, and they do have some disadvantage about that. For example, like IPFS, it can hold it can hold the code data. That means if you want to access that data, it take about like a 1 TB, take about 6 hours to get access to data. So for DMC data mode chain, we store the hard data. That's instant data. And I will tell you why to do that. That's a long story. And we do have a technology preparation for 8 years and a successful story like Zhichong about the protocol CYFS has been prepared for 8 years. And our chain is the data mode chain and is already prepared for 2.5 years. And our D apps, we call that Foggy, that's a personal web server and is prepared for already for 1.5 years. And for data mode chain, we are decentralized data storage and transaction. First, when you leave the room, I want to remember the first thing. We store real data, not fake data. Real data for decentralized. So the second thing I want you remember that, and we are marketplace. That means our data we have a storage provider called the miner, and also we have a storage user called the consumer. And like Airbnb, you can earn money for your extra room. And if you have an extra room, extra space, you can earn as DMC. DMC just got listed in the L Bank and also Gate, and is quite stable. For a few days ago, when the Bitcoin went down, but our DMC is still there. It's going up. So we're kind of is welcomed by our community member. We have more than 100 key community member in Discord and Twitter. So we are a marketplace. We are like Airbnb in Web2. We are Web3 decentralized data storage, and you can get a award by that. The third one, I want everybody to know that we are the cheapest and accessible solution for decentralized storage. So that is the three things I want you to remember when you go away. This is our data mode chain. Our DMC is a token, is the utility token. For last year, we did the Howey test, and with our lawyer opinion letter, we are utility token. So we do have a long way to come here because our technology has been developing for quite a long time. So next, I'm going to give it to Zhichong, and he's one of the key person who developed this technology.
Okay. Good afternoon. You know that Victor is not here, but I think you miss one, and you get two. At this time, I just want, because Victor is the EIP author of ESM, and he is a technology guy, and you know that the Frisa is a manager. So here I just want to talk a little about the technology. Yeah, just show this relationship. I just want to know what we cooperation together. What we want to build is the next generation architecture of the decentralized world computer. Decentralized computer. It means that the Ethereum ETH is the L1. Yeah, very famous. Yeah, I think it's the winner of the L1. And sometimes it's not enough. So I'm the chief architecture of the CYFS. CYFS from the technology side is the next generation protocol of the HTTP. We call it HTTP version 4. And this is from the Roy Zero. The HTTP version 4, or we call it CYFS. CYFS can promote the normal people can self-hosting your website, your service on your own device. Yeah, that device that stored by the forgery is called stored by the forgery is called forgery. And from the technology side is called own online device. It means that every Web3 citizens, they will have on an online device and to storage their data and run their service and to realize the decentralized internet. So this is the layer 0. And the DMC sometimes is the layer 2. You know that layer 2 is what was a hot topic at this time. And the DMC is just focused on the computer resource exchange. Like the L Bank is the currency exchange, and the DMC sometimes is like a computer resource exchange. So this is the new way of the usage of the L2. We don't need talking about a lot of technology terms like ZK, like that. We just know that if you what's the scenarios you will use the L2, the exchange is sometimes is you can use it with a chip in the next generation of the blockchain. And the fork it's the application layer. You know that at this time a lot of decentralized applications, we call them DApps. They are just a lot of them just focus on the trade or focus on the exchange. So we want the Forkworks. This company is application layer company. They build some end user applications, include hardware and software, and that can let the end users can use the decentralized service or decentralized storage to replacement your own drive or your Dropbox. Yeah, because I don't prepare. Even sometimes I don't have the PPT at this time. I don't have any stuff. So I just talking about the relationship from our ecosystem. Yeah, from our technology guys side. Thank you for.
Okay, thank you to all of the great projects that we heard from today. Give it up for them. Woo! So we are gonna get started with the panel. This is the best time to go get another drink or 2 or 3. Bring me 1 too. So we'll get started. Can we get the panelists here? So we'll start with the Web3 panel. Okay, and then I have this extra one.
Is that one yet? Okay. There might be 2 that's good. Let's see.
We start right now, right?
Yeah, we're starting right now.
We need 5 chairs.
I'm gonna stand. Don't worry.
You can stand?
I can
Okay.
stand.
Bonnie up there. Yeah.
Okay. All right, and we are Bonnie. All right. How's everyone going today? That's good. Well, first, we've thanked a lot of our sponsors. We thanked the House of Web3 Edge and Node. But what we didn't get a chance to thank is you all, right? Without you here today, we wouldn't have these events. So welcome to San Francisco, everyone. Exciting times. You know what? Mark Twain said the coldest winter is a day in the summer in San Francisco. So you're experiencing it, right? And today, again, my name is Ken. I am with Offchain. We have over 70 chapters around the world. But today is not about us. It's about the panels here in front of us. So if each of the panel can introduce yourself, and we'll start with Bonnie.
Yes, I'm very glad to meet everybody here. And we're from the blockchain AI, and we're based in Hong Kong now. Yes, we just to comprehensive is about the data and on-chain.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much cover most of the blockchain AI. If you guys are familiar with DBank, Dune, and all that. And I also want to point out that we're going to have food and drink ready later on in around 45 minutes. You know, networking started at 7. So you guys going to want to stick around and ask questions about the panel guests, hang out. Just, feel free to do that. And I'll just speak on behalf of the VEDA here. VEDA is like, as I mentioned, like investment tooling. Happy to share more insights here.
Hey, hello everyone. My name is Denarius Lewis. I'm the CMO of Corner Market. We're an online marketplace allowing businesses to take crypto as a form of payment. Happy to be here.
And thank you, Ken, for hosting it.
Hi everyone, I'm Eric. I'm the North America CEO at L Bank. We are a centralized exchange.
Right. All right. We're gonna have some time for some questions at the end, right? So we're gonna start with some questions. First and foremost, I'm looking at you, Daenerys, because are you a Barbie or Oppenheimer? I'm just kidding. Right. Hopefully some of y'all saw the movie. But at first, actually, we talked a lot about data, right? So how does data affect Web3 from your perspective? So Daenerys, you want to go first?
Yeah, so from my perspective, when it comes to data, right now, we're all still fighting for privacy. Privacy of finances, privacy of freedom of speech, the whole kit and caboodle. And so with the power of Web3, we're able to decentralize and have more control of our own data, where we're able to either monetize or actually interact with different platforms to actually sell our data, where most of the times, traditionally, we're actually being monetized by simply not reading the terms and agreements and click to all those cookies in that regard.
Eric?
Oh yeah, I'd like to add on that. I think some data crisis in Web 2 right now creates a whole bunch of opportunities for Web 3. For example, if you guys have the Apple iPhones, Apple has decided to ban a thing called IDFA. It is essential for any merchandise, for any advertiser to track what their customers like or dislike. And because Apple has banned IDFA, Facebook is losing $10 billion a year in terms of revenue. What are the alternatives? Web2 does not have an answer for it, but potentially with NFTs, with wallets, or maybe with zero knowledge technology brought by Web3 technology, there might be some new solutions. So I just would like to add on that Web3 might be able to solve some original big problems bothering Web2 data scientists.
Bernie?
Yeah, I think all the like Web3 data, like open source, whole transparency, that's different from like centralized Web2 data. And we find like data is like all you to like Web3. Most those speakers out there, and they just talk bunch of stuff. They predict the market. They see bunch of things about trading positions, all that based on I don't know based on what. It's just you got value. You gotta appreciate data more for whole crypto and blockchain. And either blockchain AI and VDAO, they're both indexing from like raw data. So it's gonna generate all those dashboards and metrics for any of those beginners. You can easily get hands on to see if those data could be valued for you. So throughout those data, you can make more reasonable judgments and some like wise investments afterwards.
You want to answer that question? Okay. Your next one. All right. Bonnie, Coke or Pepsi? No, I'm kidding. So the next question is now, are real needs of individual investors in Web3, are they being satisfied with the current DApps tools? I know Block and AI got one of those tools. Do you think those needs are being met?
Of course, and actually, the block AI will connect. The Web3 wallet will be more repeated, and you have the real analysis data, and you can tracking the the address. You can more how win it and how get it. You have the more, yes. Okay.
Yeah, just don't find any like newcomers friendly investment in Web3. Like if they don't know what's the concept of decay knowledge, what's the meaning of them if they had not have those background knowledge. So I think to lower the barriers, we got to have some like a tooling like just like blocking our ER or VDAO that like if you plug in this like a chat box, just like when you use ChatGPT, right? You don't need any of those data technology background to get hands on of whatever you need to invest.
Yes. So are there real needs of individual investors in Web3, right? Are they being satisfied with the current DApps, right? Tools, especially with corner market? Do you feel like you're gonna be able to resolve some of the what people need?
Yeah, I believe with that answer is currently everyone has crypto. We have it in our wallets, we have it in our ledgers, but we don't actually have it in our pockets to actually use. And so, how do we actually make crypto a reality? I know some of the pain points that we've solved with over here in Corner Market is whether you're holding a Pepe, a Shibu, any of these meme tokens, you can use to our app. It'll automatically convert into a stable coin at the point of sale, where you now can purchase real life items using crypto as crypto is intended. I know when we got into Bitcoin, Bitcoin was supposed to be a form of trade, but became a store of value. And right now, crypto is still just a store of value until we actually can deem that value with real life purchases.
Eric, same question.
So from the L Bank or from the centralized exchange perspective, there are definitely a whole bunch of things that we should do to lower the barrier of entry. Right now, our users have to memorize what is a wallet. They have to create seed phrases. They don't know how to pay tax, let alone manage their portfolio very well. I think from an exchange perspective, we should definitely learn more from the traditional Web2 giants like Robinhood. It is intuitive, it is always nicely designed, and it is simply easy to use. So yeah, there are definitely things that are like, there are definitely things that we can work on to bring more traditional Web2 investors to the Web3 space.
Thank you. I'm going to go to the next question now. Did you list a Donald Trump NFT on LBank? No, I'm kidding. Right. So next question. We're in a wallet war here, right?
He would
So-
need to provide us his KYC information.
That's true.
So if
No.
I do got a chance to reveal his passport, I obviously I cannot disclose it, but if I have a chance to, I will let you know.
Especially now there's a lot of wallets going on, right? We're in a wallet war, right? So it's the fight for the gateway to Web3. Why are there so many wallets, and who do you think will win?
Oh, that's a great question. Wow. On one hand, we see more and more wallets almost on a weekly basis, right? Everyone want to create a wallet. And I've even seen a whole bunch of businesses say we create a white labeled wallet business. If you would like to have your personal wallet, let us know, and we can deliver something in 24 hours. But I got a feeling that somehow it feels like the early stages of the .com boom, right? Like we were having Netscape Navigator, we were having America Online. They were widely adopted tools. They were like pretty good product, but eventually it was as environment evolved, there are some more super apps that came to the marketplace. Some apps with more use cases in real world, and eventually they would take over. So I got the feeling that a wallet itself is not a core competitive advantage. You got to have something that brings more value to the users. For example, recently PayPal announced their own stablecoin, right? And then we found that, wait a minute, PayPal owns Venmo, and Venmo has a lot of real life use experience, use cases and a network effect. So if Venmo decided to create their own wallet, right now I believe they partner with MetaMask and some other providers. But let's just imagine a world when Venmo decided to create a wallet and just deposit one stable coin by PayPal, one USD in your wallet. Would you use it? I think I would definitely give it a try. And within maybe a year or so, it will take over as a dominant wallet. So I will just say that's a possibility.
Daenerys?
Yeah, that's a good question. As some of those giants we were speaking on our presentation earlier, on Robinhood, PayPal, the big fight for security is and usability is what's really going to win in this factor. When I think about mass adoption, I think of the Cash Apps, the Venmos, the Apple Pays, and how a wallet can create an interface that people don't know that is actually a Web3 wallet. Some of the things we've done with Corner Market is when you log in with your cell phone number, we automatically create a wallet for you, where you don't need to know about all the different complications that most people, when they go through owning a wallet, they have to go through. Those are some of the ways that when you talk about mass adoption, you want to make sure it's bridgeable in an experience that they already are accustomed to. similar to how everyone knows what a Venmo is or a Cash App. That type of easily interface is what I see is going to be the winner to mass adoption. That similar as PayPal, everyone knows how to use that wallet. People are going to be able to use that in the Web3 space, just like they're doing currently in the Web2.
Yeah, I think we're talking about payment system. We can also talk about what it could be the first download app for those newcomers when they first get into crypto. They're gonna generate their private keys, but that was like 4 and 5 years ago. Right now, there's so many MPC wallets out there. We are collaborating a bunch of wallets out there. There are MetaMask, Token Pocket, Token. The list go on and on. Some of them are doing pretty good because they can have some like good dApps, and they're either like cool gamings or some NFTs or some like DeFi. Just regardless of what the kind of sectors they focusing on, I think the security and safety would be the first issue that everybody pay attention to. There's so many hack matters. There's so many those bad accidents happen over the years, and if that's the problem that we don't solve in the near future, we probably cannot see the massive adoption real soon. And then we're gonna, of course, improve some of the user friendly, like some of the interface, some of the UI UX. Like how can I let my grandma use a wallet in like 10 minutes, right? Something like that. That's we got to think about.
For sure. Actually, Block AI will connect the Web3 wallet now, and I showed it before. When I work later, I need the paper. I think sometimes it will be still will be everything will be happen. But now I think nowadays is specifically is about the safe. The wallet is Yes, I thought it's very important. It's a lot of friends tell me, oh my God, the translation is we haven't is looks why is about 50 million. Yes, it's too much money. I think sometimes they use Ledger will be safe. PayPal is coming on, and then I think everything will come true. Yeah, thanks.
Great. We have one more question. We're going to open it up to the crowd. Right? But then it says, I grew up in San Francisco or LA? There you go, San Francisco, right? Now, the real question is the future of Web3. What are you most excited about? And what is your company or you personally working on to get to that goal? Eric, you want to go first?
So on the mass adoption part, I'm very excited about the potential of Web3 in the gaming industry. Like everyone has this experience, right? Like when we were kids, sometimes we see people lining up in front of a console, waiting for hours just to play that fun game. Like they don't care about whether it is warm, it is raining. So in the Web3 space, we've seen the same thing happening to gamers. Like they don't care to learn about like wallet or seed phrases. They will just learn it to play the game. So we think that there's a high potential for a killer game that could eventually bring us a lot of Web2 users. So that's something that we are working on. And by the way, LBank does have great resources in the game industry, further broader than most other peer exchanges. We have a world-class Web2 and Web3 game resources.
Daenerys?
One thing I'm excited for is the bull market. I'm waiting for all this DCA strategy to ultimately work out, to be honest. But outside of that, what we've been doing over at Corner Market is integrating off-rampers to really help our Latin American market. So I'm really excited for some of our upcoming partnerships. And we're currently working with Alchemy Pay, where we're able to now have a tap-to-pay card, where now I can use my USDC, USDT in the real world, where it's either tap to pay or even a physical card. So now I'm able to take some of those DCA gains and off ramp it into a physical card to actually purchase and go about my life.
Bernie?
Yeah, let's just go back a little bit. Like from the last bull run, we saw that those people interested in profile pictures, Bored Apes, CryptoPunks, they got into crypto because like the pure hobby. There's some people get into gaming because they like game. and some people get into DeFi because, well, they see potential investment value. So all those factors would be resulting for the next bull run. So what I'm talking about here is there got to be some different, like exciting narratives coming up, and probably none of those above, and probably just something we don't know yet. Well, we know that metaverse right now, is not that good as we were predicted. So probably something else. And we definitely want to see some cool combination between Web3 and AI. So later on, I will definitely hear more about those AI speakers, from their opinions and insights. Some of the things that the Web3 probably can help to solve in the whole AI industry. That's just my take on it. And by the way, we're gonna host another event next Thursday, same time, same place. So feel free to come.
What are you excited about, Bonnie?
I saw crazy is crazy, and I was at 2017 that year ran into crypto. So every day I thought excited, and like they said, if you at is heaven is one day, here is ground is maybe it's 1 year. I say it's also have the game us lots of opportunities, and it's very different in other is industry. But now I think now it's a bull market. I felt we need more real and more like the stays the ground things happen. I think it will be better.
Thank you, panelists. Now I'm excited about the people and how Web3 brings people together. So it's your opportunity to ask any question. I'll come to you. My chance to feel like Oprah, right? So you get a car, you all get a car.
Okay, won't he do it?
One more? Go ahead, Daenerys. Okay. All right, any questions for the panelists? It looks like the food is looking good here. I have a question here.
I have a question for Darius. Darius, you mentioned that you set up the wallet automatically when somebody signs up. So does that mean people who are not crypto savvy can sign up and actually do commerce on your technology?
Yeah, so that's actually one of the two pain points when we talk to the everyday person is how do you actually onboard a person very seamlessly. So when you log in with your to the Corner Market app, we automatically create a wallet connected to your device. If you're crypto friendly, log in with your current Web3 wallet. We have wallet connected that connects to all the different wallets that are out there. So yeah, very seamless integration for anyone.
Any other question back this way? I'll come to you.
Hi, thank you all for speaking and talking about your projects. They're very impressive. With the launch of FedNow and the digital yuan and all of the government-based projects, how do you all think about that in your projects, and what kind of worries do you have, or does it excite you because people might start to see and trust kind of instantaneous payments?
Yeah, I love to speak on that. So many of you guys don't know, I'm actually running for president in 2028. So so I have to speak on this. Really, this is a personal thing of mine. And when we talk about FedNow, I've been warning people about this for years, months, and now CBDC is here. We actually have personal relationships with Ripple, and Ripple has been a big advocate for CBDCs globally. And so how I see it playing out is people bringing education to people what digital currency is and how people can actually separate the difference. When we talk about centralized oppressors, this is another form of that when we talk about these type of currencies, because we don't know how they're coded. And the conversations that we've heard from some of the countries such as India, China, it's a form of suppression. And so one thing I have had to educate myself on is either it's going to be MasterCard, it's going to be Visa, it's going to be some of these big players that are going to introduce people to this technology in a way that they actually aren't well versed on. How we do it here, we support all digital assets in form of legal tender, because as we continue to fight with what legal tender is, whether it's Bitcoin, USDC, whatever stable coin that there is at large, it's being able to introduce people to technology and giving them the rightful educational direction so they can decide for themselves.
Great question. Now, we actually have a QR code for all the speakers here, but it's one of the slides. For yourself, to wrap up, last question. How do people connect with you? Best way.
There will be a QR code there. But anyone can follow us at cornermarket.co. That's our website. We are Corner Market app. Follow us on all social medias. Again, we have a token launch that we're launching in the next couple months and so we'd love to connect with people and introduce people to our technology.
Eric?
Feel free to add me on LinkedIn, and I'm gonna stay here for a little while in case any one of you would like to add each other on Telegram.
Bernie?
Oh, sorry, by the way.
Go ahead.
I'm gonna offer you a special discount on LBank.
Oh.
Yeah, feel free to hang out with me later after the panel. I'll stick around and connect me on Telegram, LinkedIn, whichever ways you want. Even give you a phone number. I mean, I live here in Bay, and I will be at a Stanford blockchain conference the entire time for sure, and after parties. Yeah, and
It's quite yes. Yeah, connecting and scan me the quick card is after the event. Yes.
Well, let's give a hand for the panelists. Thank you.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Future of AI panel. I have some amazing panelists here. We have folks who have done years of research in AI ML to people who are investing actively in the field of AI. And we have folks from enterprise, from product development and marketing, who are going to bring to us key insights from the fields of AI and help us understand how we could march ahead with generative AI and use Gen AI, transformers, LLMs in building the next generation of tech. Can I please request the door to be closed? Thanks, Sira. Just make sure next time you're networking, you're not that loud. All right, so I'm going to start by asking my lovely panelists here to introduce themselves, and we will go from Wang to Andy right there. So Wang, would you please do the honors of introducing yourself?
How much time do we have? No, just kidding. Hi, my name is Venk Shukla, and I'm an accidental VC. I used to be a serial entrepreneur, had some successes and some we call in Silicon Valley valuable learning experience. And my last one was that, and my learning was take some time to do diligence before jumping into something. So I said, I'm going to stay home for 18 months and not do anything, and I got bored. Luckily, I could afford to stay home for 18 months. So because I got bored, I started an angel investor group, and I ran it for 3 years. I had about 100 members in the group. And it turned out that it transformed my life. I really, really, really like the idea of experts walking through that door and teaching me patiently what they knew about whatever they were experts in. And I thought it was amazing way to learn, you see, about so many different things that are cutting edge without having to pay anyone about it. And I loved it. And I also realized that because I've been in their shoes so many times, some of the things that I said actually made sense to them. So I was adding value to them and I was having fun. So I said, okay, this is a lot more fun than being a CEO of a startup, which is very, very stressful. So I decided that I will go over to the other side. And instead of being an angel investor, I just went to all my friends with hat in hand, saying, please give me money. I want to be a VC. And it was a very, very efficient conversation. Over a cup of coffee, they will tell you yes or no. So within 2 months, I had my fund. And I started investing. Now we are investing out of the third fund. We typically invest anywhere from 1 million to 2.5 million. We do only seed stage investing, and we do only B2B investing.
Thank you, Wang. Since yesterday he somehow changed sides, because I know yesterday when we had a conversation, you said that you went from being an entrepreneur to the dark side.
Da-
So you dropped the dark, probably something.
yes,
changed.
yes.
But Mike is a fun person to be around, and he has also helped elevate, and he has contributed a lot to the Bay Area entrepreneurial ecosystem because he has also been a chair of TICON, of TI, which stands for the Indus Entrepreneurs. It's an organization that primarily started as a way to help Southeast Asian entrepreneurs establish themselves.
So we created the Indian mafia, but my contribution is that I cleaned it up.
That's a conversation for a whole different day. So from here, I'm going to go to
The mafia is all here, the Indian mafia.
We should have probably switched positions, so
I
it
know.
didn't seem so brown on this side.
Anyway,
Preeti, over to you.
thank you, Sonia. My name is Preeti Padmanabhan. Well, talking about going to the dark side, I actually changed sides several times. I was an engineer who turned marketer, and then I also now do angel investing. I also do podcasting. So I have a few different faces to me. I run marketing for the Freshworks platform as well as their AI marketing. I run a podcast called the 10x Growth Strategies. So my claim to fame is that, being in multiple companies and helping them with their journey from pre to post IPO and helping them build their product market fit and scale. So that's what I really love doing. So 10x Growth. And it's really taken off, and we have over 60 episodes. Do check it out. I also actually am part of several of these forums and nonprofits such as TIE, High Power, and also something called the New Table. About a month ago, I had the wonderful opportunity to ring the bell at NASDAQ with 60 other women for the initiative called New Table about getting 10,000 women to invest in venture. So I'm really passionate about that. Finally, I actually have been in the Bay Area for the last 22 years. So I'm big about San Francisco Bay Area and the whole, ability for the ecosystem of entrepreneurs, investors, and enterprises to come together.
Thank you, Preeti. We are going to quickly move on to Connie, so we can get through the round of introductions and get to the action. Connie.
Hi, my name is Connie Kwan, and I wear multiple hats as well.
And a lovely red jacket.
Thank you. One of my hats is product management. I've been doing product management for a long time, and I currently consult as a fractional chief product officer. Some of my clients build products for supply chain, for dev ecosystems, and all of them are integrating AI. So it's a really key part right now, key moment for a lot of these tools. The other hat I wear is I started a network called Amplify Her, and the point of the network is to help women, executive women, learn to amplify each other, because when we self-promote, we are not seen. It's a tricky double-edged sword there, but when we promote each other, we are seen. So it's a network that I started to help women promote each other. And then the third hat that I wear is I teach a storytelling class. It's an online 6-week class to founders and product managers, especially with cutting edge products. Being able to tell the story and inspire people on the journey is super critical. And so I come at it from the product lens and how you tell the story for product stories.
So Connie is the storyteller in the room. Yes, that's what she is. And especially when you are trying to connect with your customers, being able to tell your story and also understand what stories you can hear coming from your customers, that's important. So from Connie, we are going to go to Andy.
Hi, my name is Andy Tarkovsky. I've been building data products for a couple decades, and I'm very focused on what I can build and provide value to the customer. Right now, I run data science teams both in research labs and a bunch of different companies, and I'm always focused on how to create well-defined value. At present, I consult mainly with a couple of private equity firms and a lot of their portfolio companies on how to go in, how to improve their data systems, and how to understand what products they can build. And one of the really exciting things about it is I get to see all the problems, all their confusions, and I get exposed to all these great product ideas. recently the focus has been, well, forget about machine learning. Let's just focus on LI. And let's focus on AI, sorry. Let's focus on LLMs and transformer models. And then one of my clients said, you know, I finally figured out what the difference between machine learning and AI is. It's like, what? Well, if it's in Python, it's machine learning. If it's PowerPoint, it's AI. So, I mean, the transformer models, and we'll talk about this today, are really what I'm one of my main focuses right now, but it's always trying to separate the shiny promises versus the reality of what you can actually build and how you can create value.
Amazing. We are in for another 25 minutes of some really good, not too technical, but pretty insightful discussions. So I'm going to kick it off by asking Connie a question on leveraging generative AI in creating meaningful customer feedback loops. So one of the key things in creating any successful product is being able to incorporate customer feedback into it. Right? We all have been hearing about these agile development methods for a long time now. We know that customer has to be the king, and you have to reach out to your customers early and get feedback from them. However, some products could have thousands of customers. So my question to you is, how can generative AI and this new era of transformers, LLMs that we are looking at help create meaningful feedback loops and augment the product development lifecycle?
There are two main areas. The first is customer support. So customer support provides a lot of insight into how well the product's doing and how to take it to the next gen. And so in terms of customer support, being able to have a dialogue with your customers at scale is going to be really important. And of course, we've had chatbots forever, but now LLM's really taking it to the next level where you can engage customers much more compellingly. And then the second area is the data, right? Once you collect all of that data, how do you go about pruning through it? In the past, product managers would literally sit down for hours and just look through it, do keyword searches, try and put it into a database and run SQL queries on them. Those are all less optimal ways than using LLM now to be able to quickly input it as a prompt and then see what the machine gives you as an output. So you can gather insights very quickly with the data that you have. And that's super critical because there's just so much more data now. One thing that's really interesting, so Amazon launched this feature, I don't know if you've noticed it yet, but you can look at all the reviews and it summarizes all the reviews for you now for some of the products, not all of the products, so they haven't launched it for everything. But features like that can now be very easily implemented. I mean, it's been like probably 6 months they launched that feature across a lot of their products already. So it's pretty quick. And you can imagine that being used across many different products where you're basically taking customer input, turning it into data that you can crunching that data, and then literally feeding it right back to the customer where they're at the point of purchase.
Continuing that discussion, right? I mean, we are talking about all of these new models, new tech that we are looking at that are able to really make our work that much more efficient. The question that I have, and this would be for Andy, is how much can we rely on the accuracy of these models?
I think there is a paradigm that you can apply. So one is, the first question I'd ask is, what is utility? So a lot of these can augment rather than replace. So imagine that I'm a salesperson and I need to come up with messaging, I need to interact with people. I would not want to run a business where I replace all my salespeople by chatbots, because salespeople are really good and they add a lot of value. I'm going to try to make them more efficient. I'm going to try to provide tools that augment their capabilities. There are certain things like automatic custom reviews where you can replace, but there are a lot of dirty secrets in the world of recommendation engines, like how Netflix recommends movies for you, and it's a lot less complicated than you think. So the underlying question is, what does accuracy mean in these models, and how does it actually manifest itself in the use case? So and we all know that the models will get more accurate, but the underlying, so let me just make two more sense. The underlying problem is, this is what a mathematician would call a really fat-tailed distribution. So what ends up happening, like we know if you have a self-driving car, you go straight 99% of the time, great. Or you turn at a light, great. But then there are these rare events that really mess up your ability to just have a car drive. So it's perfectly okay to not be right all the time for most things, but when you're driving, it's not, you'll die. So for example, when you do credit card fraud, it's perfectly okay to block somebody's transaction 60 or 70% of the time because the other 30% are not that annoyed and you save all this money and you've accepted that the models won't always be right. That's part of your existing paradigm. So if you start using LLM models to actually do things that have customer value or to talk to children or to educate people, you have to be very careful about what the accuracy of the model is and what it is you're trying to accomplish. Most machine learning is perfectly okay with 80% accuracy. That's great. 90% is amazing. People are coming to the world of LLMs expecting them to produce rational, great content. We're all so amazed at how good the text sounds and how reasonable it sounds. And we also realize most of the time it's a little bit wrong. So the question is, what is the utility and how do you make a product where it's okay to be wrong a certain percentage of the time? And there's a company I love, and I'm not an investor. It's a company to automate emails for SDRs. Super simple. And what they do, which I love, is they actually create a tool to help the people write the emails. And then in doing so, the LLM categorizes all this information about the emails. So it's like BI on steroids. You can definitely tell everything that's going on, how the entire sales team is working and manage them. And I love that because it doesn't have to be right. It just has to be useful. And I think that's where we really need to think for the next short period of time, which is the difference between how can we make a product with these LLMs that will meet customer needs, given that it won't always be accurate, given that it'll have some failure rate. How do we use these things to augment a worker's productivity? Like we all know, if you've ever coded, the automatic code things work until they don't. So it definitely increases productivity, but it doesn't replace the coder. So I think the LLMs, at least for the near future, are augmentation tools and should be thought of in that way. So how do you create a product that can really augment somebody's capabilities and efficiencies and give them more information to make a human decision and not cut the human out of the loop?
Thank you, Andy. By the way, next time you're looking for an investor, definitely ask the investors, whether they will rep your company at the next conference that we're talking at, right? If they do, then you onboard them. But it is important, right? That's one of the things. If the investors really believe in you, they will go and talk about you. That's a good thing. Now, we did talk about the difference between AI replacing all the human beings and looking at a dystopian future versus AI making our lives more efficient, easier, helping us improve our productivity, and as Andy put it, augmenting what we're doing. In tune with that, Venk, I would like to ask you that which are the areas, especially as an investor, right? Which are the areas where you think startups will have the most opportunities to build and contribute meaningfully and leverage generative AI, especially over the next 3 to 5 years? And which layer can they be building solutions that people can use in the next couple of years? And again, startups have access to limited resources when we start. Not everybody is Sam Altman. So I would love to hear your insights on that.
So, I think I can just talk about our experiences here of what kind of companies we have invested in or we take interest in. So, startups typically, their best chance is at the application level, not at the hardware level, not at the software infrastructure level, not at LLM level. Even at the LLM level, even at niche LLM level, you need a huge amount of capital. So it really comes down to the application level. And in application level, the entire world is open, because now anything that requires creation, unlike the first generation of AI, this generation of AI, anything that requires creation of email or images or graphics or anything, it's 1,000 times cheaper and 1,000 times faster than what humans can do. So it opens up huge amounts of possibilities. So we have a framework to look at investment, in 3 dimensions. One is is it making possible something that was not possible before? Which is, I don't know how many of you saw the demo that NVIDIA CEO showed in his keynote speech of a non-playing character interacting in real time without being pre-programmed ahead of time. And depending on what the player says, the character responds in real time. This was impossible to do. Now with LLMs and APIs, if you give a backstory to the character saying that, he's like a Rambo or Sylvester Stallone. So now if somebody says, how are you feeling? He's not going to give you a long-winded answer about his feelings and emotions. He will just say, get the hell out of here, or something like that. And the character will respond that way. So making possible things that didn't exist before. The second thing is that the second framework is that, are you expanding the market dramatically by use of this thing? So I'll give you an example. Somebody talked about, I think Connie talked about, using LLMs to query databases. So there is one segment in supply chain. All the sophisticated supply chain planning thing right now is confined to really, really big companies. And why is that? Because you need business analysts to write structured queries so that they can get all the information about what products in what time frame and which combinations in which geography they are selling. This one, using LLMs, now you can do that. So even you can offer these services to companies that are 100 million in revenue. So that's the second category. And third category is just using domain expertise. You are making a dramatic difference, like patent filing. So something that used to take, a prior art review and what is relevant and what is not relevant, this thing can do it, in seconds, which take a very, very highly paid lawyer weeks to do.
So I have a question for the audience, right? How many of you here are leveraging AI in any shape or form? A lot of you? Okay, that's great. Are any of you building net new AI models? We have one scholar here, and obviously another one up here. That's why Andy is up here. How many of you are leveraging AI to actually build new applications? So more hands going up, right? So just continuing on the lines of what Wen here said, right? The application layer is one where we will see a lot of AI transformative magic being leveraged to create something that is new, that's good. But also we have to look at what kind of a moat entrepreneurs can create to ensure that it is not something that's easily replaceable. And we hear more insights from Wen.
Yeah, I think a thin layer on top of ChatGPT is not sustainable, because startup is a long game. And even if you are the first to the market, this is not going to be comparatively sustainable. So it has to have some moat, which is either comes from technology or comes from unique insight about that domain.
Thank you, Wayne. And in that same vein, let's talk about the largest industry where we will actually see AI being leveraged, enterprises, right? We're talking about the Fortune 500, the Fortune 1000 companies. So, Preeti, in your experience, what are some of the broad applications of generative AI which can have transformative impacts on workflows, on just the day-to-day tasks that people perform at enterprises?
Absolutely. So just to give a little bit of context, right? I'm part of Freshworks, where we do customer support, IT, CRM, several industries which are being touched by AI. And for the sake of both entrepreneurs or investors or even enterprises here in the audience, a simple way to look at it would be like a 2x2 matrix, right? Looking at complexity and structure. So if something is low complexity and does not require much structure, so that would be like in the case of the examples that I think Connie was mentioning, the ability to actually quickly send an email using AI, or ability to automate some of those simple features like giving a nudge. Those are all the first quadrant, which is the innovation that you do to create the efficiencies in the system. So when you actually build companies or features in that area, then enterprises certainly can use them. But at the same time, they may not be fully defensible, because some of the larger enterprise might actually include that as part of their workflow, right? It might be a simple few lines of code that can be implemented. At the next level of complexity, say if you're looking at low complex but unstructured, right? Looking at unstructured data, unstructured behavior, then that gets to things like, being able to generate active reviews from data that is changing, or personalization, those type of use cases, recommendation, automation. Those all fall in the second bucket, and that's for increasing productivity. Say if you're able to automate a difficult task, and you're able to provide those recommendations, then that would be the next level of defense, and you're able to build something even further. The third one, which it's very interesting, is about insights. Like, can you use data to generate the necessary insights for the enterprise to make the right decisions, right? So having those insights and data, and that also touches some of the point that Andy brought up in the quality of data, that is very important, right? So that's the third level, where it's high complexity, but it's structured data. And the fourth one would be in terms of the creativity, right? Many times, like, I'm a marketer, the question came out when generative AI came out is, will my job be taken away, right? Because as a marketer, if all I'm doing is writing content, then certainly that's always the case, that can be automated. But if you can get to the creativity, where you're using all these models and AI to generate strategy, or you're using it to generate code, like the developer co-pilot, which several of you might have heard about from some of the vendors like GitHub or Microsoft. So that's the fourth level, where you're able to differentiate yourself, and many enterprise companies would likely acquire you, right? So that's like 4 levels of innovation that you can think of from an enterprise AI.
Just to drill down a little further, especially given your background at Freshworks, what could be the potential applications of generative AI that you see, especially in the field of workflow automation?
Yeah. So, for example, we talk about CRM as one of the use cases as part of Freshworks. Say if there's a salesperson who is looking at their daily quota, and then they're looking at how to reach out. So one of the things that's offered is the deal insight, in terms of, like, these are the scores for the deal, like 10 different deals. Then that AI helps them efficiently categorize what deals they have to go after right away. And then also helping the marketer increase the score for the others, right, by taking the right steps. So that is one workflow you could look at. You could also look at from an IT perspective, like in terms of, like, what are the best ways by which you can then go and, serve the customer better. So to be able to surface the right suggestions for answering a question, a support question that would come from a customer, canned response suggestions, chatbots. Several of you are on a website, you immediately see a pop-up of a chatbot, and you think you're talking with a person, but you're actually not. The chatbots have become so much more efficient in their workflow automation that you can book a vacation, you can actually have like a replacement for your shopping experience. All of that can be automated.
Thank you. I hope that these questions that we are asking, the reason why we are specifically asking these questions is because, again, as I said, we don't want to dive too deep and go over to the dark side, but at the same time, we want to make sure that the builders out there, they are looking at different ideas and different solutions, different problems that they can build solutions for. Preeti did also share that she's also an investor. So when she is looking at a lot of these startups, one of the things that she looks for is whether these startups can be acquired by an enterprise. So that's why we are asking these questions. So if you're an acquisition is a successful exit for a startup.
If you have a low-code solution, come talk to me.
There you go. All right. So from here, I want to move on to Connie. And we have been talking about leveraging AI to build solutions. The question that I have for you, Connie, is looking at the plethora of things that can be built on generative AI. What are some of the ethical considerations we have to take into account to ensure that the products that we are building are for humanity and not against it?
Yeah, bias, right? Transparency, privacy, and access. So both European, a lot of this will be enforced through policy. In fact, it's going to be very hard. There are commercially created groups, like every company has their AI policy put on a wall, put on a website. But at the end of the day, in terms of protecting the general citizens, like having it from policy is going to be really important. So Europe is having has an AI Act that's in the works, and they've actually defined 4 different levels of risk. And when you were talking about how, use LLM, but depends, right? Do you need it to be self-driving car level great, or do you just want sales insights great, right? So they've basically defined 4 different levels as well in terms of risk. So there's like unacceptable risk, which is general surveillance of your citizenship, like they do in China. In Europe, they don't think that's okay, so that's unacceptable risk. And then they have like high risk, right, which are, okay, we're gonna decide on who gets certain jobs using AI. So that's like a high risk area for, access, for transparency, for, right? And then there's slightly lower than that, which is, I forgot what they call it, but risk where they're recommending certain things to you, and maybe they're trying to optimize the bathroom line with LLM, and that's okay. If it goes wrong, it's okay. But you need to be like 80% there. It's going to be really efficient. It's going to be really awesome.
We need a bathroom line optimizer.
As a woman, that's always something I want optimized, to be very honest. And then
go out there in the trees.
What? Oh, in the trees? Yeah. And then there's like very, very low risk areas. So they've defined like this framework. And then the US is also putting together something similar, but they've done it by categories instead of by levels of risk. But what we need to know as product builders is remember GDPR. The AI equivalent is coming. It's going to be a bias audit, and we need to be ready to be like ready to comply to that, because it's going to be in the law, and then it's going to impact all our products, and then it's just the right thing to do, right? To make sure that our customers are aware of the privacy, aware of what we're using the data for, and have an option to opt out, and then know when certain things are recommended to them, what component is AI, and how audited that AI is by human, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
I think the problem of bias is a big one. That's also because of the data sets that are primarily available to train these machine learning Gen AI algorithms. A lot of the data, as we know, is westernized. A lot of the countries that don't have access to the internet, their data is not there. Just over the past a week ago, Siri was accused, or sorry, it was Alexa that was accused of being sexist, because somebody asked Alexa the results of a women's football match, and Alexa said there is no such football match. It's only the men's football match. It didn't even recognize. And then Amazon said it was an error, but obviously the news went viral. Now, in terms of further...
It's soccer.
Probably, and they should have done that. Now, continuing that question around biases, around ethical considerations of AI, just a very quick follow-up question to you, Preeti.
Yeah.
We were talking about how the data that is collected, right? At the end of the day, you still need to collect data from consumers in order to train these algorithms. So how do you de-identify those data sets so people can still people feel safe navigating these systems, knowing that the inputs coming from them are going to be used for training, but at the same time, their privacy is not compromised?
Yeah, certainly that part of the responsible AI is data governance. And in data governance, one of the ways that you could look at it is how do you generate the synthetic data that are very similar to your customer data, but does not exactly mimic, it's not the same data, so you cannot personally identify somebody. So that's another range of other startups that you could look at. How do you help generate synthetic data for different industries. Because, for example, in the case of financial industry, that's a critical thing. If somebody knows your bank information, then they can take advantage of it, right? And there's so many other industries too, your legal, like healthcare, government, etc. So that's a huge way by which you can use synthetic data. And in addition to that, you also have to make sure your model governance, your AI models are audited and accurate so that you're not actually, doing the wrong action on that data.
Talking about the accuracy of the models, Andy, I'm going to go to you because while we're talking about all of this, we're talking about the data that we take in and then how the algorithm leverages this data. There is also a real problem of algorithms of these machine learning models of Gen AI hallucinating, right? Dreaming up information. A lot of you might have heard about GitHub, not GitHub, but OpenAI's GPT-J, which is normally used for programming, just creates net new libraries, libraries that don't exist. And then hackers have started actually creating those libraries and putting those libraries up on NPM, etc. And people, unfortunately, because GPT has been recommending those, that's become like a way for hackers to get malicious access to your computer. So how do you work on this problem of AI hallucinating?
Well, actually, I think it's a great business model, to be quite honest. One of the things that's going to happen very quickly is AI is going to start to be trained more and more on AI-generated data. Garbage in, garbage out, it will become less accurate. And then because most LLM models are majority vote, what is the most common answer? Well, I can just play the same games people used to play with web search. I can create all kinds of ways to bias the search engine. There's a lot of very, very clever, immediate ways to trash training of AI models. So the question becomes, at a fundamental level, how do you protect them? How do you create a model that's useful? And one of the things that people are doing now, and the platform providers, Amazon, Google, Microsoft now, the most important one, shockingly, are providing tools to train your own LLMs. And they are getting cheaper and faster by the week. I was working on these back in March and April, and we were talking about big dollar amounts. Now we're not anymore. We're talking about big compute times. Now we're not anymore. They're getting better and better, but the accuracy is not necessarily getting better. The quality, the ability to train them is different. So I think the business model, the sort of two components. One is to try to make your models as accurately as possible on a subcorpus. In other words, I don't need a model. I don't need to have the big model that can answer any questions and can write poetry. I need a model that can answer questions on an exam or help train somebody or provide a very, or like grade tests. I need something that's very specifically, narrowly defined. And a bunch of people are trying to do that. And I think that there are a lot of business models there. Now, and it's also a question of how do you make something accurate? Now, the models are there are lots of very brilliant coding ideas that are coming out very rapidly to try to do this. And one of the things that I found in a couple of projects recently is all you have to do, fundamentally, you don't have to build a better model. You just have to restrict the type of things you're asking it, which you can do by prompt engineering. But you also need better curated data. If you know anything about how neural nets work, it's kind of the opposite of what you learn in statistics class. If you've ever taken a class, statistics class says, you've got a million pieces of data to fit 100 parameters. Neural nets are like, I got 1,000 pieces of data to fit 10 trillion parameters. So the question becomes, how good is your data? And there's a lot of research right now showing that if you highly curate your data on a specifically narrow subset, you don't need to be as smart about how good your model is. So the question, I think, goes back to the question of what are LLMs going to be in society? And it's a much bigger question. How are they going to affect things? What's going to happen? It's a tidal wave, and there's so many analogies to the internet. But we know for a fact that 20 years from now, LLMs might talk to LLMs to do sales. Kind of a scary thought, but who knows? And just like we knew in 1995 the internet was going to take over, and we didn't know how it would happen or which companies would become first or how it would work. And I think the question as an entrepreneur to think about is, well, it may not have been obvious in 1997 that there was going to be a payment problem on the internet. Then there was PayPal. PayPal is a giant bank, but it wasn't obvious, and people were trying to sell cat food instead. So what are the LLM problems, assuming that 20 years from now, all LLMs are everywhere, all companies use them, it's part of our daily lives. How can you find out the problems that are incremental? And I think so the full circle going back to the question, is you have to figure out your use case, and accuracy is important. So if you can come up with an LLM or some version of this that defines a product that is really messy, like you brought up, vertically specific, know the details. Don't build something a cloud provider can help somebody build in 5 minutes because they build the right tool. It goes back to this concept of schlep blindness. Like you want to find something that's so complicated and messy and get all the details right and train your own data and create a moat. And if you do that, I think there's really great business opportunities. But if your idea is to build a slightly better algorithm or just turn on LLMs on some existing data corpus, guess what? Amazon did it first. You're not going to make any money. So how do you, and this gets back to the question of accuracy. If you can find models that are accurate and specific for specific domains, the buyer's there. You don't have to create demand. The buyer's there. All you have to do is make sure that what you build is too hard for anybody else to build in a month.
I think all of the panelists here have given the builders in the room some fantastic ideas to go and build applications on. And who knows, the next time we have another panel, we might have somebody from the audience up here talking about this fantastic product that they have built based on the ideas that we have being shared in this room. And who knows, we might be looking at some new multi-million, billion-dollar exits right here in the room. Okay, so continuing, we just have another few minutes to go, so let's make the best use of our time. I have just one or two more questions and then we are wrapping up. In fact, my question is for you, Wang. The question that I have is, as an investor, and especially with the saturation that we have in the AI market, how do you look for genuine innovation? And what are some of the differentiators that you look for when you bet on startups?
The biggest difference really is the people. So what we look for is a domain, founder domain fit. So if someone is coming and saying that, I can do this thing, I'm expanding the supply chain from big companies to smaller companies so they can be useful to them. So first thing to do is see, do you understand supply chain? If you have done supply chain, this thing, logistics for last 20 years, I think that's a good one to start with, that you have a credibility. So credibility of the founders in that particular domain is extremely critical. If you are two Microsoft engineers and you think that there's a problem in legal domain that you can solve, I think you can, but it's not likely to be a very sustainable thing. And I'll caution you against that because startup is typically a long game. And the first to the market doesn't necessarily have a lasting advantage. So that's one thing. There are other things also we look at, the quality of the technology team and all those things, but fundamentally is the deep domain expertise of the founders.
Thank you, Wang. And with that, what I'd like to do is open up the questions to the audience. But while we're doing that, I have a fun question for the audience members again. Just a quick trivia question. So in which movie do you have an AI entity called Jarvis that's made to assist a billionaire in a tin suit? Shout out the answer. Who knows it? Iron Man. Yeah, okay. We have some people who are paying attention. Good morning to everyone. All right. So here's another fun one. Which model or which tool created by IBM won Jeopardy against two champions? Who knows that one? Watson. Yes, that's right. All right. So now that everyone is awake and smiling, let's go ahead and ask some questions. We have someone up here.
So this question is for Venka. So as you're looking at investments today, sorry, I had dental surgery, so I can't talk too much. So as you're looking at investments today, are you looking more for someone who has built a technology that's defensible, or they have found a use case application that's unique and they have some industry-based knowledge that gives them an unfair advantage?
If you are building something which is horizontal that applies across a lot of different verticals, then we look for deep technology, chops of the founders. But if you have this thing which is applicable to a particular industry, then we look for how did you develop the unique insight about that industry, and how rare is that?
Do we have anyone else who wants to ask a question? Okay, there's one.
I have a question. Nowadays, we're basically giving our data for free to let the big corporations to train our data. And there's also, I think data ownership of the user is actually can be traceable or be rewarded in a way. So because how can it be implemented? For example, I can control my access, how they access my data, and I can sell my data to different companies. I just wonder if there's.
Could I take this one for a second? This is a problem that I was very interested in about 6 or 7 years ago, and I had some friends who started companies on it, and it kind of went nowhere because the economics didn't work. There was the amount of money an individual made on their own data was small compared to the amount of money like Facebook or Google could make off of your data. And it's the conclusion we kind of came to, we tried a bunch of things, was that you're not really going to get paid unless the regulators step in. And one of the things is just, you can choose to hide your data, you can choose to not make it accessible. There's a lot of different services, but unfortunately, I mean, I can defer to other people on the channel, but I have a somewhat dystopian point of view of this. I will say that a lot of the companies trying to build their own large language models are highly curating the data and the privacy. And we all know these examples where you're not allowed to use LLMs on your own financials because they'll be shared with OpenAI. So data governance internal to enterprise is becoming a very serious thing. And it was discussed, but the idea that a consumer, not a company, can extract monetary value from the data, I think it's wonderful. And I think, Google and Facebook and all these companies make huge amounts of money from your data. But with the conclusion we came to we were thinking about doing something was that it's going to require regulation. Otherwise, it's just not going to happen. Now, you might have a differing point of view.
Well, my point of view is with Web3, you would probably create a moat around it. And that's one of the things about decentralization that people have been talking about, beyond the speculative hype, right? Like creating decentralized systems where, of course, as an organization, you're making money, but then the people whose data you're using, they get a share of it. But again, we are still not there. It will take some time. But I feel like I have a little bit of a utopian view on it, that there is enough money around in the world to at least ensure that people don't die of hunger.
So utopian versus dystopian.
Yes, utopian versus dystopian. All right, with that, I have some quick questions. Okay, we take one more question, and that would be the last one. All right, that's fine.
It's two questions. I guess one is, it seems like I've dived a little bit into human-machine interaction. And one of the things is nuclear power plants were always using AI to kind of funnel and management with scientific-based knowledge. But a lot of that research kind of includes that human-based knowledge needs to be a hybrid kind of symbiotic path with those AIs. What percentage of people do you think are needed to work with the AI, given the idea that it needs to be kind of a parasitical bond? I guess the other question is, a lot of times with marketing and development in businesses, usually the workers that are the fronts and stance of the community kind of see the ins and outs and are kind of like the grunts on battle for the warfare. And they kind of bring in a lot of that information. Is it kind of like shooting ourselves in the foot by using AI instead of, using the kind of people that are more interactive and alive in the space?
Who wants to take the question? And we'll try to wrap it quickly.
Yeah, I can share my perspective. Actually, I'm an investor and a board director at a company that's building headsets that help you read your brain signal and then provide like controlling how your bionic arms, like in terms of prosthesis, as well as controlling like other devices like smart devices. You talked about the human and the AI interaction. My perspective is that going forward at some point, like how cell phones became so prolific, like everybody, like almost like majority of the world, right? Except for really remote places, people are having some form of cell phone. So I believe that eventually I see that AI devices will become part of our life, and human AI interaction is going to become quite commonplace through all these different ways, right? We saw Google Glass come in. It was a failure at that time, but there are new products that are coming out that are actually much more simpler and can actually make a difference in our lives in different ways.
All right, well, thank you. And just before we leave, I have some fun questions for our panelists here. I'm going to start with Andy, right? You have to answer within 2 seconds, okay? So, Python or R?
Scala.
You can do that. Well, and then we have it for Connie. AI with emotions, yay or nay?
Yay!
All right. Okay, cloud AI or open AI?
Cloud AI.
Oh, cloud AI, okay. And finally for you, Siri or Alexa?
They are dead. Both are dead.
All right, well, again, thank you for being such a lovely audience, and I hope you guys got to learn a lot. And thank you to our amazing panelists. We are going to continue networking. There is more pizza. I saw somebody walk in with pizza. So go ahead, enjoy yourselves. And
Before we
have some
wrap
thank you
up,
notes.
again, thank you, panelists, for joining us. But we wouldn't have tonight's special without Edge and Node, House of Web3. So I want to introduce Noel here to thank you all for being here.
Yeah, hi everyone. Just wanted to welcome you to the House of Web3. We love hosting epic events like tonight. And if you want to learn how to co-create here during the day, you can go to edgeandnode.com and submit an invite. And then if you're building anything in Web3, you probably need the graph, which is an index and solution on Web3. So you can come to the front desk and learn more about that. But thank you so much.
How many of you here know about Graph? Who knows about Graph? Okay, a lot of people know about Graph, right? Okay, how many of you know about co-working spaces? Co-working spaces. Yeah, how many of you know about free co-working spaces in Web3? That's Edge and Node, right? Yeah, as long as you're a Web3 creator, you don't have to pay a cent. And
Thank you
again for hosting
House of
us.
Web3. And of course, to our sponsors, VDAO, Blockin.ai, Corner Market, L Banks. I saw Eric still here. And Crypto Babes, thank you for joining us and co-hosting this, right? And Orbis 86, thank you. And of course, Language Fund. And all of you, thank you. Enjoy the network night. There's pizza, there's drinks. Enjoy the night. I think 9 o'clock is where we'll be kicking people out. So enjoy. Thank you.